What's up, Canuck fans? Welcome to the Line Change Podcast, a proud presentation of DraftKings Sportsbook, as well as a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, every team, everywhere. Now, I want to welcome back Dave Hall to the podcast. We've had Dave on before during the summer. Wanted to get him back on here so we can talk about the draft as well as the prospects that will be a part of this upcoming draft. Dave, good to see you again, my friend. I hope you had a great Christmas, holidays, and wishing you a belated Happy New Year. But before we get into the draft, we had some breaking news earlier this morning. Just under an hour ago, Kiefer Sherwood is dealing with an injury. Just our luck. So he's day-to-day. He won't play tonight. And also it looks like Zeev Buium is a healthy scratch apparently tonight. He was odd defenseman out at the morning skate. So I'm a little puzzled by that, considering Alvin and Rutherford are like, we got to play the young guys. Well, you're sitting one of them out. So that doesn't really make any sense to me. But looks like Tolopilo was starting tonight. So Quads is going to be happy about that for sure.
Yep.
But let's get back to the prospects and the draft. I mentioned you when I reached out to you. I really wanted to, dive into the prospects and, considering where the Canucks are in the standings and all this talk of tank, and, being team tank. Obviously, if the Canucks finish dead last, they're not guaranteed the first overall pick. No. They're at least guaranteed a top 3 pick if they finish last, which is what Canuck fans want. They want at least the top 3. Obviously, we just had the World Juniors, and a lot of those prospects were vying to be in the top 5, top 10 of the draft. We're part of them and trying to dazzle and impress teams, scouts, and elevate their draft stock.
Yep.
Obviously, everyone knows the likes of Gavin McKenna, Ivar Stenberg, not Ivan. Apparently, I was referring to him as Ivan while promoting this. So apologies. It's Ivar, Keaton Virov, Tynan Lawrence, as well as somebody that I'm very high on. And don't worry, we're going to get to him. But let's take a look at the projected top 3. I know it's kind of shifted around a little as of late since the World Juniors. A lot of people are still talking, Gavin McKenna is still, that fight. Do you think that is still the case?
Oh, sorry, you broke up a little bit there. I think I got the question, though. Oh, you there?
No, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Just, oh, there you go. You're back. I think I got the question.
Yeah.
What was
do you think Gavin McKenna is still that bona fide number 1 overall?
Short answer, no. I don't think he has been for a few weeks, and I think the World Juniors kind of showed just why. Obviously, look, at the end of the day, Gavin McKenna is an extremely skilled prospect. He's going to be a really good player in the NHL. I have no doubts about that. But I don't know if he's showed enough. Much like we saw what he did last year, I don't think he's shown enough this year to really solidify himself as that bona fide number 1. I think it's not just Ivar Stenberg, but I think there's a few names that are pushing, but most notably Ivar Stenberg. I mean, I think we saw in the World Juniors, I hate to base everything off the World Juniors, but obviously that's the most recent thing that we can go off of. And Gavin McKenna put up some hell of a numbers, for as a 17-year-old, it's all impressive. It's all really, really good stuff. And like I said, he's going to be a good player. But we saw him dominate the games against the Denmark and, the lower level teams, whereas you saw a guy like Ivar Stenberg not only push against those weaker teams, but also played some of his best hockey against the best teams. In that Czechia gold medal game, he had some unreal shifts. That Boumediene goal that ended up being the game-winning goal, that was all Ivar Stenberg. And so I can't get past the pro-ready tools that Ivar Stenberg just shows. And so, to be honest, it's one of those things, and I've said this for a few weeks now, it's one of those situations where I'm not going to be upset with either. I'm leaning personally towards Ivar Stenberg just because I do think he's an overall package, but I do think the upside isn't tremendous with Gavin McKenna. I just sometimes worry a little bit about the physical nature of his game or lack thereof. And I think there's a little bit more risk in terms of the floor with Gavin McKenna. But at the end of the day, you still take either or. He's still going to be a fantastic player. I've heard names like Patrick Kane or Trevor Zegras, kind of that, more perimeter style player, whereas Ivor Stenberg, a little bit on the perimeter, but also doesn't mind getting into the meat cellar to get his cookies. So
for sure. Speaking of McKenna, let's bring up his bio real quick, or just some. I think I pressed the wrong one. Is that it? Yeah, there we go.
There.
Whoops, stats. There we go. So yeah, his bio: left winger, 18 years old, from Whitehorse. I did not know that. 6 foot, 170 pounds. He's a cerebral tactician, heavy shooter, and an offensive forward. That is his player type. He's ranked number 1 by consolidated ranking, number 1 by elite prospects, number 1 by Cam's consensus, number 1 by TSN, number 3 by THN, number 1 by THN/Kennedy, number 1 by McKean's, number 1 by Flow Hockey, number 1 by Daily Faceoff, number 1 by Draft Prospects, number 2 by Sportsnet, Costantino, number 2 by Sportsnet Bucala, or no, is that number 2? Yeah. Ranked number 1 by Smart Scouting and ranked number 1 by Dauber. There you can see his highlights, his gold medals. But let's take a look at his stats. Bring this up.
Hard to look past that WHL season. Yeah. That's literally instantly jumped out at me as soon as I looked at this. I saw that 129-point season. I was like, whoa. Yeah.
41 goals in 56 games, 88 assists, 129 points. Wow. That is darn impressive for the WHL.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's hard to look past that. And look, like, even though just over a point per game isn't incredibly impressive at the NCAA, he's also 17 and he's also playing on Penn State, which he's responsible for driving most of the play on that team. He's playing with a lot of overagers that that have gone undrafted, and so it's an impressive feat for such a young player. So you can't just diminish anything he's done this year. It's not that he hasn't shown what he's capable of. I just think it's more of you're kind of, obviously, as a prospect, you're kind of projecting on what's next, and I think he's just shown a couple things in his game this year that does offer a little bit of questions about his overall game. So
looking at playing for Kelowna in 21-22, he had 65 points in 35 games. The year after that, he had 75 points with U18 prep, 22-23. And then he played 16 games with the Medicine Hat Tigers, 18 points in 16 games. Then the following season, he had 97 points in 61 games. Like, wow. Those are some, I can see why people are highly touting him just based off of those numbers. But of course, you want to know if that'll translate to the NHL or not.
Yeah.
Also, 14 points in 7 games at the World Juniors, only 4 goals, although he had that game where he had like the hat trick. Yeah. So 10 assists. So yeah, I'm kind of flabbergasted looking at these stats. It's like, whoa, for a kid his age, that's quite impressive.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like I said, I don't think you can go wrong. But also, if you look at Ivor, I don't know if you have Stenberg's stats as well. But he's on a literally historic pace right now in the SHL. He's on pace to break Henrik and Daniel's season in the SHL as a draft eligible player. He's Frölunda at 17 years old, 18 now. He's already Frölunda's best player. So. It's one of those things where, yeah, this is all impressive and you can't look past that 129. But when you actually watch his game, there are a couple things that you do worry about. And again, I know I've prefaced this a few times, but it's one of those things where I don't think you can go wrong at this point. I think if you take Gavin McKenna, and I think Some people will almost on merit, because at this point, he's garnered so much attention and just so much pedigree that, do you really want to be the team that look past Gavin McKenna to take Stenberg, and then Gavin McKenna pops and becomes this NHL superstar? Probably not. So there is a good chance he still goes number one. I just think at this point, it's definitely not a for sure thing, and by no means the bona fide number one. So.
For sure. I'm glad you brought up Stenberg. Yes, I do have his stats here. I mentioned earlier not saying his name right, but let's take a look at Ivar Stenberg's his bio to start off. Left wing / right wing, 6 foot, 181 pounds, 18-year-old from, I can't even pronounce that city, but he's Swedish. So there's a brownie points there for the Canucks. He's Swedish. Shoots left. He is much like McKenna, he's a cerebral tactician, a dangler, and as well as a playmaker. We could use a lot more of those, especially on the wing. Ranked number 3 by Consolidated Ranking, ranked number 2 by Elite Prospects, ranked number 7 by Cam's Consensus. Wow. Ranked number 2 by TSN, Craig Button. Ranked number 3 by Chris Peters. Ranked number 1 by Ferrari, ranked number 5 by Kennedy, ranked number 3 by McKean's Hockey, ranked number 3 by Flow Hockey, ranked number 3 by Daily Faceoff, number 3 by Draft Prospects Hockey, number 3 by Sportsnet Constantino, number 3 by Bukala, ranked number 2 by Smart Scouting, and ranked number 3 by Dober Prospects. Let's take a look at his stats here.
Keep in mind that that's all based off all their last projections, so they still haven't come up with the mid season and whatnot. So I do expect most of those rankings to go skyrocketing, whether it be number 1 or at least number 2.
Yeah, let's see if I can actually read that. Actually, maybe I can make this bigger. I'm using images because sharing the screen kind of crashes my computer. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I can kind of read it out. But yeah, these are all Swedish. Looking at here. Yeah, I think that's the biggest I can make it. Okay. Guess I'm squinting. There we go. So yeah, 21-22 with Frölunda. He had 32 points in 21 games. That right there is impressive in the amount of games. 32 points in 12. Wow. 9 goals and 23 assists. 17 points in 12 games. Then we go to 23-24, 32 points in 18 games. 30 points in 13 games. And then I believe that's international and junior. He had 24 points in 19 games. And then with Frölunda in 24-25 for the J20 national, he had 53 points in 27 games. Whoa.
And he's 16 at that point.
Wow. Those are gaudy numbers right there for a 16-year-old. And then moving down to Sweden, international junior 24-25. He had 51 points in 29 games. Yeesh. Is this Stenberg or is this Nathan McKinnon? like a Swedish version of a Nathan McKinnon. 24 points in 25 games with Frölunda and the SHL this year. I believe
which is incredible for a draft eligible. The next closest draft eligible that's close is Vigo Bjork, and I don't even know if he has 10 points yet. So the fact that he's got 24, he's on pace for 41 right now. It's that's quite something for a 17-year-old, now 18, playing with men amongst the top league and basically Europe, to be honest. So
yeah, and then at the World Juniors, he had 10 points in 7 games, 4 goals, 6 assists. And then for the international junior, he had 19 points in 16 games, 9 goals, 10 assists. And yeah, as you can see there, he's projected to get 41 points, 10 goals. I think that's 31 assists. Wow, yeah, I've actually kind of shifted towards Stenberg. Obviously, originally I was, Gavin McKenna, but even before seeing these stats, I was, hearing the whispers about Stenberg and, plus that he's Swedish too. I mean, I could maybe see this guy playing with Petey if they were to draft him, and definitely there's your winger for Petey.
And in the not so distant future, like he's
yeah.
of all the players, you know, he might be NHL ready. Like he might be ready to just step in and come over and play immediately for the 2026-2027 season. Like he's got everything. He's got the frame, he's got the grit, he's got it all, and he's ready to go. So, you know, maybe he stays one more year just to, you know, gain a little bit more strength and all that. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, he seems ready. So could happen as soon as next year if they go for him.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, McKenna and Stenberg are wingers. And I believe, I'm not sure if it's changed, but the projected, last I saw, third overall pick is a defenseman.
Yeah.
That's, of course, being Keaton Vierhoff. I do believe at one point, I think I heard that he may have moved up to first overall at one point, if I'm correct. But let's take a look at Vierhoff. Let's see if I can find it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, depending on who you talk to, like he's going to be on first on some boards. He's going to be 3 on some. Like that's the thing about this draft. And when you ask, you know, your very first question was Gavin McKenna, is he the bona fide number 1? I don't think right now, and I don't think there will be all the way up to leading up to the draft. I don't know if there will be a bona fide number 1. I think some leaderboards are going to have Verhoff, some are going to have Stenberg, and some are going to have Gavin McKenna. Hey, some might even have Tynan Lawrence going first. It's going to be one of those drafts where it's going to be, we don't know until the draft day, really.
Mm-hmm. So here we have Keaton Vierhoff, defenseman, 17 years old. He's from Saskatchewan, so he's Canadian. 6'4", so he's a big boy.
Right,
212 pounds, right shot. I won't go through the rankings again since they're not updated, but you guys can see them on the screen. Let's check out his stats, because I was peeking at his stats earlier, and I was very impressed with that. Kelowna U15 and 22-23, 46 points in 27 games for a defenseman. Like, wow. And then even the year before that, 37 points in 34 games. Like, unreal, considering the age of these kids at this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You move forward. I believe this is the U15 prep. 87 points in 60 games. Like, holy.
Pretty good.
I can see now why they're saying this draft is stacked. 27 points in 22 games. I played 12 games with the Victoria Royals, 2 points. And then following season, 45 points in 63 games, 21 goals, 24 assists. And then right now, I believe he's playing for the University of North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
12 points in 18 games. Still pretty good.
17-year-old.
Yeah. Had 4 points in the World Juniors, 4 assists. But yeah, like with McKenna, that one Kelowna U15 prep season really stands out with the 87 points. Like this guy, like I don't have actual like the player, like whether or not he's a tactician, playmaker, or it didn't show that. But I'm kind of sensing maybe, I mean, minus the size, Quinn Hughes vibes, at least offensively, or maybe McCarr. Just
no, I mean
he's 6'4".
Yeah, he's 6'4". I think when you go with Verhoff, like I don't know if he's going to be a huge point producer at the NHL level. I still like obviously he'll put up the points. He's going to be, you know, a top 5 pick, so he's going to be a great defenseman. I'm just not so sure if he's going to be one of those point producers. I think you're looking at more of like a, you know, you're hoping for a number 2 defenseman that's just a savvy, mobile. You know, obviously he's got the size, just a nice like 2-way defenseman. You know, nothing flashy on either side of the puck, but just steady, good gap control. And I think you're just kind of hoping to just have one of those steady Eddie defensemen. He might not be a franchise guy. He might not be a game changer on that back end, but he's just going to be a very solid complementary number 2 guy. And as a right shot with the size, you know, you can never complain. Those guys are always sought after. So,
yeah, definitely. I mentioned that I was very high on somebody earlier, and I said we'd get to him. Let's go ahead and get to him. Let's see where to go. Oh, I don't have his bio, but that's okay. I have his stats. But I was talking about Caleb Malhotra. Very high on him. I actually had Rick Dollywall on the podcast yesterday, and he spoke very highly of Caleb Malhotra, and actually said that the Canucks are pretty interested in Caleb. Now, I can't take all the credit for finding out about Caleb. It's actually a friend of mine who brought him to my attention. So I, did my due diligence and looked into him and was, wow. I seem to be saying that a lot with these kids.
Well, we are talking about top end draft picks here. So,
yeah. But, Caleb Malhotra, for those of you that may not know, the son of Manny Malhotra, current Abbotsford head coach. And yeah, 23-24 with the Vaughan Kings, U16 AAA, 19 points in 21 games. And then 48 points in 48 games for the U16 AAA. And then with the Chilliwack Chiefs, 26 points in 44 games. And then now he's with the Brantford Bulldogs of the OHL, 53 points in 39 games. And he's projected to get 91 points in 67 games. Like, wow, that is impressive. And he's obviously decided to go to Boston University for the NCAA next year. He's already obviously made that decision, which is going to be great for him.
Yes.
Where do you see Caleb being drafted? I know he's when I was talking to Dolly yesterday, he mentioned how Caleb's basically skyrocketed up the charts.
Yeah.
As of late.
Well, 91 point pace will do that for you. He's playing on a really good Brantford Bulldogs team, and that's not to take away credit from him. Like he's doing the work. He's a dog in the bone. He was one of those. He's one of those players that just works hard. He goes to the thing I love about him is that he goes to the center of the ice. We talk a lot about, the Gavin McKennas who, kind of stick to the perimeter, do a lot of their work on the side. Caleb doesn't mind going into the middle. He doesn't really care where he's going. He'll go to the dirty areas to get his stuff. And we talked about the top end of the draft, both wingers. He's a centerman, so you love that. He's got good size. I mean, if you ever watch Manny Malhotra play, he's basically just a carbon copy of Manny with a little bit more offensive punch. So like you see the rankings here, a lot of mid to late first round. He's definitely shot up. I still don't know, like it's going to be tough. Like when I wrote my article about, like I had him in with that second first round pick, that Minnesota pick, depending on where it falls. Obviously, we don't know where it falls. It could be anywhere from 15 to 32. I would be targeting more with that one personally, but I do think he's skyrocketed to the point where I think he has gone into the conversation of top 10 by some people. At the end of the day, I'm not quite sure if he does fall there. I think he does have one thing working for him in the fact that he's a center. It's going to be, between him and Tynan Lawrence and maybe one or two others for that top centerman in the entire draft. So he does have that going for him. I'm not sure if he's a top 10 just yet. And so I don't know if he's going to be in that Canucks range, depending on where they fall into at the end of the season. But by all accounts, if they can get, he's one of those players, if they can get one more first round pick and he's still available in that 10 to 15 range, just like the Pens did with Ben Kindle last year, you might see them, package those first round picks and go for him in that 10 to 15 range.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like with the Minnesota pick, before he skyrocketed, they could probably get him, with that mid to late first round pick. Yeah. But then, hearing that he's skyrocketed, I was like, okay, they probably don't have a chance if he's going to go between 10 and 15.
Yeah.
But then I thought, what if they traded up?
Yep, exactly.
On draft day. Because it seems like they're very, very interested. And this is just me, but I also feel as though it's a very feel-good story too, them drafting Caleb. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about, wanting to bring Manny up as the head coach of the team. I mean, that would be a little odd, coaching your son, but, still, it's a feel-good story. He's basically got a connection to the organization already with his dad. I did manage to find his bio. 17 years old, from Toronto, 6'2", 183 pounds, left shot. He's a center. I also didn't know that Steve Nash was his uncle.
Yeah.
Wow. So it must run in the family. He's got them genes for sure.
Yeah. Always bank on bloodlines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said about Manny, I was very fond of Manny when he was during his time as a player. It's unfortunate, what happened to him, with his injury, his eye injury. And honestly, looking back to 2011, man, Manny should have gotten a cup. I think, everyone on that team deserved it, but I really wanted it for Manny. And then,
absolutely.
But hey, he got his championship with Abbotsford this past summer. Still waiting on them championship rings, though. So hopefully he gets it soon.
January 12th. Still waiting for them. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it was June 12th at this point.
Yeah.
I had to get my little dig in there. I've been trying to, stray away from that. But
from the digs?
I had to throw a little dig in there. I believe we'll get into some more prospects too, but there's one other one in particular that I recently noticed, and I believe it was Doodle who actually brought him to my attention. He was talking about him in one of his videos, and I might butcher his last name, but it's Ethan Belchitz. Is that his name?
Yeah, Belchez.
And, I looked at his stats, and immediately what jumps out, 6'5". Yeah. So he's a big boy, left winger from Oakville, Ontario, Canada, 17 years old, 227 pounds, left-handed shot. And huge. Like, I didn't even look at his stats. I just looked at the size and I was like, whoa. Bring up his stats. With the Oakville Rangers U14 AAA, I assume the U14, 15 means their age, right?
That's the league, yeah. So it's anything under 14. So he's got to be 12 or 13 at that point.
55 points at 12 years old. Wow, I wasn't even putting up them points at that age when I played hockey. Then again, I was a goalie, so 55 points in 28
55
games.
points as a goalie.
Yeah, maybe 55 saves if I'm lucky.
There you go.
Or if I'm playing at North Shore Winter Club, I seem to play really well when I played there. It was like my Madison Square Garden, you could call it. 22-23 with the U15 AAA, 42 points in 33 games, 20 goals, 22 assists. He had played 2 games with the U16. Didn't collect any points, but he got 6 penalty minutes. 23-24 Oakville Rangers U16 AAA, 84 points in 34 games, 46 goals, 38 assists. Wow.
Yeah.
With the Windsor Spitfires in the OHL, 38 points in 56 games, 17 goals, and 21 assists. Played for the Canada White U17. He had 5 points, 4 goals, 1 assist in 5 games. And then with the Spitfires this year, he's got 40 points, 25 goals, 15 assists in 38 games. And he's projected to get 69 points in 65 games. So once again, like I keep saying, stacked draft. I actually honestly wouldn't mind getting this kid just based on his size. And I know we've been wanting like big wingers, and we're sorely lacking, we don't have a winger who's 6'5", but he would be a nice addition. I wouldn't mind seeing him on PD's wing. Might be a little bit of muscle on the wing there.
Yeah, he's a guy, at the Canucks go on a bit of a run here and, rattle off 10 wins in a row and, end up sliding out of that first to second, third overall and, kind of move up towards that 4, 5, 6 range. He's a guy I would definitely, think Tom Wilson, just a big, rangy, can show some skill winger. I think with him, his overall game is still a bit of a work in progress. The skating still needs the mechanics still need some work. But overall, as you just rattled off the numbers, like he's got the skill, he's got the size, so he's got that overall package that you just love to see. And you don't mind banking on. Sorry, I just got my cat that just came out and causing ruckus over here. Jeez, got out of the. But yeah, so like he's definitely intriguing. Like I said, I think he's one of those players that you want to target a little bit after that top four. He's the kind of guy that you'll go for it, in that 4, 5, 6 range. But yeah, again, like just like most of these players, he's a guy that you're not complaining too hard if you have to settle for Ethan Belchez. Just a lot to work with. I think he's one of those guys that I think scouts will probably, they'll kind of. There's a lot to chew on, right? Like you take him, he's a bit of a work in progress. This game is still a little raw, but the overall package is just undeniable. So,
yeah, definitely. Before we continue, because I do want to, you mentioned Tynan Lawrence. I don't actually have his stats. Unfortunately, he was the one that I wasn't able to get. But we'll talk about him. I'm going to quickly do my mid-show sponsor read, and I want to start by thanking my main and primary sponsor, none other than DraftKings, the official betting partner of the NHL. Never experienced the jaw-dropping moments that make hockey? Well, you can experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-9777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through per wager may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025, all rights reserved. But we were mentioning Tynan Lawrence. Why don't you
I think I lost you.
Oh. Yeah, sorry about that. It's raining very heavily over here, so might be.
I know all about the technical difficulties. Don't you worry.
Yeah. I had some with Brandon Astle. I think it was last week. That was a little embarrassing, but it's okay. Tynan Lawrence, why don't you tell us a little bit about Tynan Lawrence, since there's not much stats to go over.
Yeah, again, so the nice thing about him, as we kind of talked about with Caleb Malhotra, is he's a center. He's probably this year's top center. Like I said, there's guys like Caleb Malhotra, Ryan Rubrick that have kind of pushed as a centerman maybe, but I think overall Tynan Lawrence is probably going to be that number one. Might even go 3, might even go 2. He's one of those guys that he just committed to BU as of last week. Like he just played his first 2 games with him this past weekend. Bit of a weird season because he started the year injured, so he didn't actually play his first game till late November, I believe, if not early December. So he was out for most of the year, so his stat line isn't very impressive. But when he is playing, he's a really good two-way forward. He's super speedy, plays the game with a lot of pace, high compete. So there's a lot to like about his game. I think the difference with him, Belchez, and all these players that we talked about in the latter half, there is that drop-off. That's why I'm still convinced that Ivor Stenberg or Gavin McKenna is going to go number 1 or 2 or 3, only because I think while Tynan Lawrence, I think, will be a fantastic top 6 center, I don't know if he's going to be that number 1 center. So, with a guy like Stenberg or McKenna, I do think, you're banking on that potential to be elite, that, top line winger, a lot of points, all that stuff. Whereas Tynan Lawrence, I think he's just a nice complementary center, which isn't a bad thing. That's not a knock on him. I think he's going to be a really good pro. He's got just a nice two-way game with a lot of speed. So I do think there's a lot to like. I'm still getting my looks in because, like I said, he hasn't played a lot this year. So I'm still getting my looks in with him as well. But so far, that's what I've seen, just a lot of speed in his game and just a lot of responsibility. So I don't think you're going to go wrong with him. I think he's going to be a nice piece. I just don't know if he has that, elite level talent that's going to be anything more. I think 60 point center is what you're looking at with him. So Pedersen.
Sure. I want to get into some comments because there's some. Looks like we got Swervin Irvin, regular, at least on my
Swervin Irvin
podcast.
Love it.
And YouTube channel, as well as a few other creators that I know and work right now. Yeah, he's at work right now. Well, get back to work.
Come on, Swervin.
I'm kidding, Irvin. He does have a question, though. He says, given that of the Canucks not likely to be competitive next season, is it in the best interest of the team to keep whoever they draft in June out of the NHL for a year to delay their ELCs? That's actually a really good question.
That is a good question. I think for me, it would depend on who it was. I think, basically anyone but Ivor Stenberg. I think, yeah, maybe Gavin McKenna could play next year. Like I said, he's got to put on some weight for sure. Like there's going to be a real physicality, but at the same time, that might be a good reason to get him over. I think when you're talking about that top end talent like that, I don't think there's any problem with having them over to develop right away to try to see where they fit. I do get the waiting for the ELC to kind of, fit that mold of, 4 or 5 years down the road when you're hoping to have a competitive team. And, we've seen it year in year. Every single team needs one or two guys that are making cheap, contributing at cheap ELCs. But I do think if you're talking about a Stenberg or McKenna, I do think it's actually a favorable environment to have them develop with the team. They'll get top 6 minutes. They'll be kind of thrust in. They'll kind of they'll learn not only their game, but their place on the team. They'll be able to build that rapport with the team. So I think if it's a high end pick, like 1 or 2, I have no problems with them going with the LC right away and just getting them right in. Anything else, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. In fact, I don't know if there's any player other than Stenberg right now, maybe Gavin McKenna, that can just step in and play NHL minutes at the moment. So I think, yeah, if you want to wait a year with some of the other players, I think that's fine. But if it's Stenberg, get him in. I think he's pretty much ready. Good question, though. Because
got another one from Urban. Given that.
Go ahead, sorry.
Given that the World Juniors is such a short tournament, can be deceiving. Kokoff, Ulevi. Oh, do not remind me of him. Are there other leagues or tournaments that you weigh heavier when judging a prospect?
It's a good question, and he's right. I even said it at the top. Like I hate, like right now, obviously the World Juniors just happened, so that's always the topic of discussion right now. And it is really hard to put in context. I mean, for instance, you just rattled off 3 prospects that played in there. So you went Gavin McKenna, 14 points in 9 games. Well, 3 of those goals were against Denmark, right? Stenberg, all that stuff. Verhoff, he only had 4 assists, but then, you look at his time on ice, he only played a couple minutes per game. Like he didn't play a lot in the tournament. So I do think the World Juniors is a really tough. It is nice. It is a nice gauge when you've been watching them since September. It is a nice gauge to see how they do stack up, not only against their own age group, but also just that kind of hyped up level of intensity. So I do think it's nice to see, like, it's really nice to see Ivor Stenberg step up, especially in a gold medal game, and be the best player. That's something that you want to see from a guy that's pushing to go number 1. You want him to dominate as a 17-year-old or 18 again, at the U20 level. So that's a positive thing in his eyes. But I also know not to take too much stock in it. For instance, Braden Coots is a really good example. I don't really take a lot of stock in Braden Coots' tournament because I know that he was used as a role player. He's there to play 4th line minutes. That shows up in his numbers and his minutes. So, stuff like that. I don't look at Braden Coots any different than I did 4 weeks ago because Braden Coots only put up 2 goals and averaged 7 minutes of ice time, right? So I do think it's tough. At this time of the year, it's going to be a topic of discussion, but that's why you that's why you gauge the entire season. In terms of the second part, I don't know if there's any specific any specific tournaments that I really take in. I think it's just a whole collective, right? Like in the summer, you've got right after spring, you got the U18s, and then you go into the World Juniors Summer Showcase, and then you get the season, the World Juniors. So for me, it's not really one specific tournament or league. It's more just the encompassing package throughout the season. So I do think the World Juniors is a good measuring stick midway through the year just to see where they're at. But I do think it's important to kind of take it all with a grain of salt. Sorry, a bit of a long-winded answer there, but.
Mm-hmm. No, that was perfect, and I'm glad you brought up Coots because I wasn't really impressed with his deployment and his ice time.
No,
but hey, we'll talk a little bit about Coots in a little bit, especially that huge trade.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that. But Urban's got another question. He's just firing him away instead of working. But hey, it's all good. Please clarify, if the Canucks finish dead last, are we guaranteed the number 32 overall pick, given that Ottawa has forfeited their first-round selection as a result of the rejected Dadonov trade?
The Ottawa, I don't know, that wouldn't have anything to do with it. The quick answer is no. You're never guaranteed. I think you even alluded to this at the top of the show. They still have to have the lottery. So right now they do have the 40% chance of winning that first overall, given that they're 32nd. But as we've seen, there's no guarantee. I mean, the New York Islanders jumped all the way. What did they jump? Can't remember how many spots they jumped last year, but they jumped up quite high and got super lucky and got Schaefer. So it can always happen. And given the Vancouver Canucks luck, never picked first overall. So there is a good chance that they do drop, and we'll just see how it goes. But, sometimes it might even be better because right now there is the argument between Stenberg and McKenna. Sometimes it's just easier to let whoever it is draft first overall, make their decision for you and just take the next best thing, right? So maybe someone else can make that decision for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the Islanders, they jumped 10 spots last
year.
There you
go. I thought it was 10 as well, but I didn't want to say 10 and talk out of my ass there. But yeah, I believe it was 10 as well.
Yeah. It's okay. If we end up dropping, I already told Goodle I'll blame him. He did the tankathon on one of his recent streams and the Canucks dropped. So I was like, if that happens, in reality, I'm going to blame you.
Could. Yep.
Carbon copy of Manny, just with more offensive punch. Sign me the F up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. See, he's going to be a good player.
High on this guy.
Yep. No, yeah. I like him too. There's a few players that I really wouldn't mind them.
Up higher.
Yeah. But that's why, it's important, not just to look at their draft right now and look at that Minnesota first round pick and, I wonder who they'll take. It's really important that, you hear like Thomas Drance talk about this all the time. Like, that's why asset management is so important to not get a first round pick for sure, where not because you want to make that pick where it is, but because that just gives you more bullets in the chamber to trade up on draft day, whether it is a Caleb Malhotra that you want to get at 10th overall, whether it's a Vigo Bjork that you want to get at 13th overall, right? Like, it just gives you that extra bullet to actually be able to package those trades to move up in the draft. So that's why, for me, it's right now, it's all about trading assets. Obviously, we found out Sherwood's injured as of this morning. That sucks. You got to trade him for a first as quick as possible here. So.
Yeah. I talked a little bit about that with Dolly the other day. I was kind of focusing on the Rangers just because, a lot of people are talking about the Rangers lately, even though a lot of teams are after
crazy.
Sherwood. But I did see, the Rangers are kind of pushing for him. And I do like the idea of maybe trying to get Lafreniere off of the Rangers because I just think he needs a change of scenery, personally.
Sure.
Considering a former, what was he? He was first overall, I believe.
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
The fact that he's not panned out in New York kind of tells me maybe he just needs a change of scenery.
Time to go.
But obviously with the injury, I saw some of the reactions on Twitter from Matt Scaris in particular, saying, "Are you effing kidding me? Like, seriously, Sherwood's injured?" I knew this was going to happen. It's just Canuck luck. The hockey gods hate us. So, but yeah, that's hopefully he's not out for too long.
Yeah, they say day to day, potentially a week, but we've seen them. We've seen that happen before. We know that story, so we'll see.
Yeah, we got Duolingo. He's a frequent viewer. What's up, Duo? He also has a question too. Do you think any of the top 3 guys have a potential to bust, or are they all safe as solid NHL players? And who is the riskiest?
It's a great question. I mean, it's a really good question. I'm assuming we're talking Stenberg, Verhoff, and Gavin McKenna here. I think with Verhoff, I think your risk. I don't think there's a risk. I think he's going to be a really good NHL player. I think the risk with him would be that you're banking on. Even you, when you were looking at his stats, you were mentioning, Quinn Hughes, Kyle McCarr. I think if you're drafting him, whether it's as a fan or as the team, thinking that he's going to be that offensive, bring that offensive pedigree, I think then you might get a little disappointed. I just don't know if he's going to be that high-end offensive producer. So I don't think there's any risk to drafting him. I think he's got a very solid floor. I just don't know if he's got that massive upside. I guess if I'm going to pick, and this is just because, if there's a gun to my head, I guess I'll pick Gavin McKenna only because, the term, I even saw a clip this weekend where, the term generational talent is getting tossed out there. He makes a pretty decent between the legs thread pass, which is a fine play, but I worry a little bit that the generational talent term is getting tossed out a little too much here. And while I do think he's going to be a good player, I just don't know if he's going to be that generational talent. He might prove me wrong. If there's anyone that's going to, it's going to be a talent like him, because there's no doubt about it that he's offensively gifted. I do think, it's actually a tale as old as time. You see players like super skilled perimeter players like him, a little bit undersized, that they dominate at the junior level, but then as soon as they just can't get to the middle. So at the NHL, you need to be able to find that space and time to get to those soft spots or the hard parts of the ice. And if you can't do that, you never know how it's going to pan out. So I guess if I'm gonna pick who's the riskier, I guess it's going to be Gavin McKenna, only because there's just such a pedigree put on him right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Irvin says, "Oh my God, don't get me started on asset management. The only remnants of the 2011 Canucks are the Burroughs trade tree and the Schneider trade tree."
Yeah,
Burroughs trade tree. I'm trying to remember back that far. Yeah, I can't even remember what the trade trees were way back then. Yeah, I've done my best to bury 2011 in the past. So yeah. Irvin, yes, your assessment of Lafreniere is fair, but not every number 1 overall pick is an elite superstar. For every Crosby, there are many second-tier star players that go at the top of the draft. Yeah, absolutely. That's just my observation. I haven't watched too much of Lafreniere. I just know he was a first overall pick, and it's been 6 years, and he hasn't really shown too much, at least with the Rangers. And then you got guys like Connor Bedard coming in, Macklin Celebrini, and they're just lighting it up within a few years. So that's kind of where that all comes from, at least for me.
And you know what? That's when Lafreniere was getting drafted. That was the thing. He wasn't that generational talent that was going to, change your organization overnight. Connor Bedard was, Macklin Celebrini was, Sidney Crosby was. I don't think that's why I know I keep saying it, but that's why I don't know if Gavin McKenna is that elite superstar that's going to change your organization overnight. He's going to be a very good complementary piece for it, but he's, I just worry that there's going to be all this pressure, generational talent, and then he just ends up being a very good top 6 player, which is not a bad thing. I just, that's my only worry with the, the Gavin McKenna types right now.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, for sure. Yeah, another one from Duo. If the Canucks were able to get another first-round draft pick by trading Sherwood, do the later 2 firsts have a potential to draft a defenseman or a goalie, or do the Canucks only target forwards with their firsts?
Great question. I wouldn't go for goalie. I think their goalie pipeline is set up very nicely right now. There's not a lot of high-end goalies in the first round. There's no goalies that are projected to go in the first round, to be honest. So no goalies. There are some good defensemen. If you wanted to go up, there's definitely some good defensemen. Like this draft is definitely the winger defenseman draft. There's not a lot of goalies. There's not even a lot of high-end centers. So a lot of wingers and a lot of defensemen. So yeah, absolutely a D. I'm personally leaning towards with the first round at least, just building some forwards. This Canucks organization just does not have a lot of high-end talent up front. And they've actually shaped up their defensive corps pretty nicely, especially with the addition of Zeev Buryam, and you got obviously Tom Wielander, Elias Pettersson, Kirill Kudryavtsev, Sawyer Minio, even a guy like a late round flyer like Basil Sansanins, who's a 7th round pick. Like there's a lot in the pipeline that I think warrants you able to kind of take a breather on the defenseman in the first round and go for just pure offense up top. I just think right now after Braden Coots, it drops off like an incredible amount. I just think you need to restock that shelf, if you will, and just go for some high-end talent. So, go for a Vigo Bjork. The Canucks already have his brother in the organization. Go for the Caleb Malhotra. Just go for if you can go for a center, great. But even if it's a winger, the Canucks need some high-end forward abilities. So for my money, I'm going offense.
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually just thinking Canucks don't really need another goalie. They got, Medvedev, coming up in the system, and I still think he's the goalie of the future. Especially with Demko going down with another injury, can't get here soon enough.
Ty Young, Koskinen.
But yeah, I'm really high on. Yeah, Tolopilo. Yeah, they have Patera as well. But they're kind of stacked on goalies right now, so I don't think they need to. Draft a goalie. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Medvedev for sure in the next few years. Hopefully we'll be rebuilt in a hybrid form by then. Hopefully. That one was for Irvin.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll be talking about what Alvin and Rutherford said in my Nux report that's going to be posted a little bit later. Don't worry, we'll get into that hybrid, whatever they were explaining it, the two of them. But yeah, why don't we talk a little bit more Canucks, since I think we've kind of gotten the prospects. I haven't talked to you since about the summer. What's been your overall impression of the season so far?
For the Canucks, like the Vancouver Canucks?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of as expected. I mean, the superstars aren't playing like superstar. I mean, once you trade Quinn Hughes, in my eyes, that's when it's over, right? Like that's, if you want to admit it or not, as soon as you trade a guy like Quinn Hughes, you've just amped up a rebuild. So whatever you want to call it, it's just that's the beginning of the end right there. So now you just it's actually kind of crazy. Like you spend your entire lifetime as an organization trying to find a superstar, a generational talent like Quinn Hughes, and you have to get rid of him at his prime. So now it's just like, you got up here and now you just got to start all over again. So, as a prospect guy, as someone who really enjoys covering and watching the younger guys, it's a beautiful thing for me. But as the Vancouver Canucks fan, it's going to be a lot of pain. It's going to be a tough couple years here. You just kind of got to push through it and just focus on, don't worry about wins and losses, just focus on development and what the young guys can do here. But overall, obviously it's been a disappointment, but I'm secretly kind of loving it just because I think for me, I think we've seen time and time again that you need to build strong teams out of the draft. And so I think it's time they finally just get some high-end draft picks, not only this year, but even next year, and just, restart, a full restart for me. So.
Yeah, definitely. While we were talking about Quinn Hughes, what was, I guess, your initial reaction to the trade when it went through?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I think, like I said, you spend your entire career trying to hope for a guy like Quinn Hughes, and you had him. So anytime you're trading Quinn Hughes, there's no way you're winning that trade. But I've said it many times now. I think if you're going to trade him, I don't think you're going to get a better package than what you got. Zeev Buium has been an incredible prospect for some time. One of the most decorated NCAA defensemen of all time. So yeah, he's struggled a bit in his starting, but he's also only 20. He just turned 20. So, he's still so young. He's got a lot. I've loved, I don't know if you see me on Twitter, I've loved Liam Ogren since his draft. In fact, when he was drafted, I'm on record saying I hope that's who I was hoping they'd take at 15th overall over Jonathan Lekkerimäki. I just really liked Ogren as an overall package. I just thought he just played an overall game that could project to, second line winger kind of thing. So I liked him. And then Marco Rossi, he is what it is. 24-year-old center. They needed it. So he's just a nice little shoe-in. And then obviously for me, first round pick, just more bullets to either move up or just select a young kid that hopefully can, carve out a role as a Vancouver Canuck in the, 5-6 year down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And well, there you go. Now we got Lekkerimäki and Ogren.
There you go. Exactly.
Right there.
Now they just need Noah Ostlund and we're good.
Yeah. Well, I think now they just need to call up Lekkerimäki and have him play with Ogren. See a little bit of that chemistry from now being teammates.
He's had a tough go though. He's been injured for the last couple of weeks and got sick over the weekend again. He just can't stay in the lineup right now. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when he's that first game back, he showed he's still got that. I think he got he got a goal in the shootout.
You got a goal and assist, and
I didn't actually watch the highlights from the game. I just heard that. Yeah, I think that's what I saw was the highlight of the shootout goal. That was some hands. But insane. I also I asked this of Dolly the other day. May as well ask you same question. Imagine we're back in 2023, and I approach you and I say, "Hey, guess what? Within 3 years, we're gonna trade Bo Horvat, JT Miller, and Quinn Hughes." What would your reaction be to that?
I'd call you crazy. Why would we do that? We're going to be a contender in 2 years. Why would we ever do that? It's an insane. The entire situation is just insane. Like you want to talk Canuck luck? Like this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. You draft a potential superstar like Elias Pettersson, and you got all these guys up the middle and Quinn Hughes and Demko and. Then all of a sudden you have to trade all of them. Pettersson just like his game drops off the map. Demko can't stay healthy. It's just like, you built this incredible core and it just all crumbles for the most ridiculous, unique situations you could ever imagine. Like it's just, I'd call you crazy. And because it is crazy, the entire situation is insane. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Even like asking that, it baffles me. Even just even when I was asking Dolly about it, I was just like, am I like really asking this right now? Like, gee, it's hard to say it out loud too, especially with me being a big Miller fan. Still kind of a little sour over that, but it's okay.
Fair enough.
But yeah, trying to think. I think I had some. I know. I didn't really talk with Brandon much about this when I had him on, but I know Abby's kind of having somewhat of a similar season to the big club. I believe I looked; I think dead last in the AHL or their division.
Brutal. Yeah.
They did rattle off a couple wins this past weekend though, so that was great to see. But yeah, obviously dealing with injuries themselves. I keep track of Brandon, talking about the injuries with the forwards. I think at one point there was 9 players that were out with an injury. So they had a very depleted lineup recently. Your thoughts on how flipped the Abbotsford season has been compared to last season?
Well, yeah, and I mean, to be honest, it was right from the get-go. They let a lot of guys walked, and they just decided not to bring in a lot of help. a lot of guys left, and that's typical. The one thing about a Calder Cup run is that, it's a good showcase for a lot of guys trying to find their next job, right? So a lot of them got really good opportunities, signed good contracts with other teams, so all power to them. The issue was that the Abbotsford Canucks failed to bring in a lot of talent to replace them. And so that was all fine. They were kind of banking on guys like Vilmar Ulrichsen, Jonathan Lekkerimaki, Max Hassan, Archdeep Baines to kind of fill those gaps, which is great. Sawyer Minyo on the back end. The problem is that everything just crumbled right from the get-go. Vancouver got injuries. Abbotsford got injuries. Abbotsford played the first half of the season, excuse me, basically as an ECHL team and a couple of rookies making their debuts. So they were outmatched pretty much the entire first half of the season. So I don't really fault them for how bad they were. That they weren't really given much. Everyone was either up in Vancouver or injured or gone. So it was just one of those things where that's the unfortunate nature of being an affiliated team, and they were hit hard. And so now they finally got some players back, slowly but surely. Tolopilo has been back, Kuo Kudratsev has been back, Victor Mancini, Lekkerimaki when he's healthy, Archdeep Baines has helped a lot when he's there. And so, when they've showed when those guys are there, they are competitive. It's just, when you're let's just put it this way. Their leading scorer is Ben Berard. Great player. He's from Duncan, BC, which is where I live. So, shout out to him. It's great for him, not great for Abbotsford Canucks. He was an ECHL player last year, couldn't get in the lineup very often last year with the Abbotsford Canucks. Now he's their top scorer. So that kind of just sums up the season right there. Great for him, not so great for the Abbotsford Canucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think I saw earlier on in the season, they even brought back Jujar Kara, who
not at the starting. They didn't bring him back originally, and then they kind of realized, oh boy, I guess we probably should have brought in some veterans here. So they kind of they went back, and I believe it was a couple weeks into the season, they basically begged him to come back, and so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's bring up Braden Coots and that massive trade that he was involved in with the Thunderbirds and the Raiders. Massive haul. I don't have it up with me, but I did go over it in one of my videos and just how massive that haul was for him. I believe what was it, like 4 draft picks? And
yeah, there was 8 pieces going the other way in total. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, even seeing some of these other like WHL trades, seeing the hauls that these players were getting, like, 9 pieces for some of this, I was kind of mind blown by it. I was like, whoa, like, and then even the Vancouver Giants kind of got into the action a little bit, obviously trading, I forget his name off the top of my head, but they're like leading scorer they traded him away. I do know the Giants were trying to get in on Coots, so I thought that probably could have been pretty cool if the Giants were better. Maybe they could have landed him, but
well, they got Mathis Preston,
went to the Raiders,
not a throw-in,
and I believe, yeah. Although he took that nasty knee-on knee collision, I think it was a couple games or a game ago. That looked brutal.
Yeah.
So
that's
his future might be, at least for the season, might be a bit of it. Yeah. Yeah, that looked nasty. And he's, I believe, someone who's going to be in the draft as well this upcoming year.
He's one of my favorites. He's probably gonna go top 10. Because of his size, he might slide a little bit, but skill-wise, he's a top 10 pick.
Next, maybe that injury might move him down a little bit, perhaps. Season-ending injury, potential season-ending injury. Yeah. I'm not sure if they've actually, confirmed that he's out of the season or not.
No, in fact, I think the one comment I heard is that they're hoping that it's a little bit better than they originally thought. So it might not be season ending at all, but yeah, definitely tough considering, they just brought him in. He's kind of he's going to be the new guy in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. He's the bright and shiny package, first round pick rather. But Yeah, and Ryan Lynn got hurt, I believe, as well. So that's 2 first-round picks hurt in the same weekend. So,
Yeesh. Yikes. Yeah, speaking of the Giants, I remember I was a season ticket holder many years ago when they were still at the Coliseum, and man, those games were fun. Watching those kids, and my dad and I would actually always talk about this. We would love going to the games and watching because we knew those kids would give it their all because they had something to prove.
Yep,
and it was just fun hockey to watch. Yeah, it's just fun hockey, and it's shame they had to move out to Langley. That that was the end of our season ticket membership. We're not going all the way out to Langley for that. But hey, now we got the Golden Eyes, so rocking the Coliseum, which I still need to go to a Golden Eyes game. Hopefully I can.
Yeah, it looks like a great time.
At the end of the season. Mm-hmm. Although their record doesn't look to be all that great, but
I believe they're in last place.
First season, you gotta. Yeah.
So
sounds like Vancouver to me.
Vancouver Canucks, Vancouver Golden Eyes, and Abbotsford Canucks all in last place in their leagues. Woo!
Yeah, well, there's Vancouver hockey for you.
Yep.
What's new? Oh man, like I said earlier, hockey gods hate us, man. Hockey gods hate us.
That's what it is.
I think I saw they had
we chose this
7 overtime losses. I think for the Golden Eyes. I think I saw that.
Something like that. Yeah. I watch so much other hockey. I have a hard time focusing on everything. So I've got so many prospects to watch that. Yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to the Golden Eyes or honestly, even Vancouver all that much lately. There's just been so much, World Juniors and all that other stuff that it's hard for me to focus on everything. Right. So.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the draft is probably going to come up, super fast with it being in June. So, and we're already in January, so I can imagine.
Yep.
I guess one last thing I wanted to talk to you about. I am going to be talking about it on my network, but I wanted to note, and kills me to even say his name because I'm not a fan at all. But Jesperi Kotkaniemi, his name has been brought up with Vancouver. Apparently, Hurricanes are trying to trade him. They seem to want to get rid of him.
Of course they are. Of course they would. He's making what is he making? 5.5, I believe. Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to get rid of him? It's a depreciating asset at this point. In my opinion, I don't know why the Canucks would take him. The only reason why I would personally take Kotkaniemi back is if it's a package in a Pettersson trade where you're getting a first round pick. Basically, like he's not an appreciating asset. He's a devalued asset right now. So they're not doing Vancouver a favor. You're doing them a favor. So if it's favorable for the Canucks, I don't mind them taking on that contract because at this point, who cares? It's a rebuild stage. So take on all the contracts you want, but it better be a nice haul coming back. So.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just not a big fan of Kotkaniemi, just based on like you said, he's not really showing anything the last few years. He's hardly even playing this year. I was doing a little bit of research about him earlier for the video, and I was like, damn, he's not even playing. He's been a healthy scratch for most of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like he's kind of like I jokingly said, I was like, he's kind of like their Elias Pettersson. They're not 11.6, but what is it, like 5 point whatever?
Yeah, I think it's like 5.5-ish range.
So and I believe I saw it was like 8 years. I didn't realize he signed an 8-year contract with them. Wow. He's also kind of their little bit of a hybrid Brock Besser too, because he hasn't scored in like over 2 months.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Kotkaniemi. So whenever I hear his name, I'm just like no thanks.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Send him somewhere else. Well, I think we pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover in this. That's awesome. I don't have any more notes for prospects, and I think we pretty much covered like the main prospects.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like we got a. Oh, looks like we got a comment. I'll quickly do this for Urban. Would you take Kotkaniemi if Carolina gave a sweetener? Oh boy.
Yeah, I would. I mean, at this point, like I said, with that said, I can't remember off the top of my head how many years he has left. So this answer comes with a caveat. If it's more than 4 years, maybe not. But at this point, if it's a rebuild and they're paying you to take him on, I don't see why not. At least he's a filler up the middle. Again, I don't like Kotkaniemi either, but I think at this point, as long as you're recouping assets for him, like whether it be a young player, they got a lot of young players I like. I love Bradley Nadeau. Not that you might not get him in a trade, but basically what I'm saying is at this point, it's a rebuild. If you're getting assets back, accumulate as many young assets, whether that's a pick or a young player, as possible. So if you got to take Kotkaniemi for that price, assuming he's not more than 4 years, I can't remember what's left on his contract, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think the one positive thing I'll say about him is, he's 25. He's young. He fits within that Canucks age range that they're kind of looking at right now.
Yep.
So that's really the only positive I'll really probably say about him. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't know if there'd be. I mean, I know there was talk about when Quinn Hughes was traded that the Hurricanes were trying to send him and I believe it was Nikishin as part of a package, but Canucks ended up going with the Minnesota one.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone remembers the Elias Pettersson stuff. I believe it was from last year, involving him, Natchez. Now, that one I probably would have done just because I absolutely love Natchez. And, man, he would have been great on the wing for the Canucks, at least in my opinion. But that ship sailed. Now he's killing it in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think the only positive I would say is, his age. But yeah, that I do not like that contract at all. So yeah, definitely more times than not, it's going to be a no for cut. And actually, I don't think anyone wants him because apparently they tried to trade him to LA for Dano and LA was just like, nope.
No, he's a depreciating asset. Like I said, if you're Carolina, you
have
to give up quite a bit to get him. Or to get rid of him, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's, I guess, little comparison, you could say, just with the Canucks right now, injury aside, with Sherwood, them having not, pulled the trigger on Sherwood yet, not having been, given what they want for him, seems to be a similar situation in Carolina with Kotkaniemi. They're just, no one's interested. So,
yeah.
But you'll hear more. You'll hear me talk more about Kotkaniemi in about maybe about an hour or so when that Nucks report comes out a little bit later. But yeah, I guess we covered all the prospects. This has been fun. This has been a blast. I absolutely love doing this. I don't know too much about prospects. As you can tell, I did most of my research yesterday, looking everything up. But hey, that's why I got you here.
Absolutely,
Mr.
Happy
Prospect.
to come back on too. We'll make sure we talk before the draft or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Once again, appreciate you coming on, Dave. Good to see you. Hope your holidays went well, and hopefully things start picking up for you with the draft slowly approaching. And yeah, definitely we'll try and connect before the draft, maybe around the draft or something like that for sure.
Yeah.
Once again, this has been awesome. Love having you on, and looking forward to that, man.
Right on. Thanks so much for having me, buddy.
All right. Yeah, no worries. Good. I'll see you when I see you.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, that was Dave Hall, the prospect guy from Canucks Army. You guys can find him on Canucks Army. he writes some articles. He, covers the Abbotsford Canucks, but he, like you said, he mainly covers the prospects. So Dave Hall's a great guy. I absolutely love having him on. He's a pleasure to have on. And yeah, hopefully Dave and I can do this again, maybe closer towards the draft, talk more prospects, talk about the draft. Hopefully by then the Canucks will have won the lottery. Hopefully, but knowing our Canuck luck, I mean, I got to be a little realistic, right? It's like I said, it's not a guarantee that the Canucks are going to get the first overall pick. We talked about how the Islanders, jumped up from 10th and stole the first overall pick to get Matthew Schaefer. But I hope you guys enjoyed this prospects and draft video. Like I said, hopefully I can do this again with Dave, and it's a lot of fun. A little bit out of my depth when it comes to the prospects, but hey, like I said, that's why I brought on Dave, because he knows a lot more than I do. But as I mentioned, also look out for the next report coming out a little bit, maybe about an hour or so. I believe it'll be uploaded. And also, you guys heard me talking about it during the video. Me interviewing Rick Dollywall yesterday. I'm still on cloud 9 over that. That was obviously an amazing experience, and I'm still kind of giddy about it. I mean, it's Rick Dollywall. Come on. So that's been huge. If you guys haven't checked that out, feel free to go ahead and check that video out. It's a great listen, great watch. Dolly and I talk a little bit, about Sherwood. I basically asked him the exact same question that I asked Dave, about, if you could go back to 2023, and if I told you, you were going to trade Horvat, Miller, and Hughes in less than 3 years, how would you feel about that, and what would your reaction be? But yeah, go ahead, check that video out for sure. And also, if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you'd like to, feel free to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. That way you can stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content here on the Line Change. And also, if you're interested, we have ourselves our very own merch store. You can get your Line Change merch. We have, I believe, my first shirt and collection is available. But we also have a new collection, which I'm calling the 1-year anniversary collection, because we are rapidly approaching our 1-year anniversary towards the end of February. And it has our completely redesigned logo in both blue and green, as well as the skate version, which I'm a big fan of and really pleased and happy with how it turned out. As you can see on your screen there, you got a couple hoodies there. I got hoodies, shirts, some stickers as well. We don't have hats quite yet, but shirts, hoodies, they look phenomenal. You guys can check them out at thelinechangepodcast.threadless.com. There is a bit of a sale going on some of the items, so go ahead, check that out. And also, if you want to be a part of more discussions, kind of like what Dave and I had today, go ahead and join the discussion on our official Discord. There is a link in the description down below. It's completely free to join, so go ahead and join that. Also, if you want to find and interact with us on social media, we're everywhere on social media: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, even Blue Sky, which I hardly go on, but we're on it. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. Speaking of platforms, if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, that's cool. Feel free to listen to us on both Spotify and Apple Podcast. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow, as well as rate and review us on either platform. Also, if there's an episode on either platform that you absolutely loved and want to watch over and over and over again, feel free to download the episode. That way you can watch it anytime you want. And also, it really helps out the podcast as well. So once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I did, and definitely going to be doing this again with Dave Hall for sure. And as always, let's keep the tank. It's like, well, you're not going to see it until later, but I mentioned it in my Nucks Report video. I have a new little outro that I think I'm going to do for a little bit. And it's do what Dory says. Just keep tanking. Just keep tanking. What do? We tank. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.